the December 8th, 2009 Planning Commission of Radnor Township. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the October 5th, is it? The October 5th meeting? Yeah, the October 5th, 2009 meeting. Any comments to the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I received a communication today from the Communication Council, and they have requested for us to table the recommendation to the Board of Commissioners ordinance amending Article 28, Wireless Communication Systems of the Code of the Radnor Township, Township of Radnor, revised in sections 280-161 through 280-171. They've asked to be placed on our January meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve that? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. With that, we have subdivision number 2009D03, preliminary of Agnes Irwin School to construct an addition replacement of athletic and dining facilities of the middle and upper school, construct additional parking and stormwater management facilities at 295 South Ivan Avenue. Mr. Cornelia, you're here for the applicant? Very good. Dan, this was before us at the October 5th meeting.
That's correct.
In the interim, I believe the applicant went to the zoning hearing board and received an additional variance.
I think they said that it was, in their interpretation, it was not required, I believe. I think that was good. We haven't gotten a decision yet. They approved it, and I think they were determining that it was permitted under the ordinance itself.
Okay, so you have the approval to move forward with the
Yes.
riparian issue that we discussed?
Yes,
And
correct.
whatever the actual
Right.
approval is, we'll move forward from there?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, it has not come down in writing yet, but it is a verbal approval.
okay,
Riparian buffer is not an issue for the development.
okay, very good.
So what we're looking at is the same plan that we looked at in October. No changes have been made. We've been waiting to get the decision from the zoning hearing board. I reworked a couple of items on the memo. I left the riparian buffer issue off my original memo, since that has been addressed by the zoning hearing board. Really, the two items that have changed are item number 8 and 9. 8 is related to the sidewalk that we had discussed that runs along Lytton Avenue. It is shown on their property, and we had a discussion whether or not it should stay on their property or be shifted up into the along the edge of the street. I basically reworded it that if it is decided to keep the sidewalk on their property, that they supply an easement so that it is clear that it is a public sidewalk. And number 9 is related to the transportation impact study. I did get an update in an email, came late yesterday. Basically what I had pointed out in my revised memo is that there are 2 areas that are a level of service D. One is their driveway, that is this loop driveway in front of the addition, as well as the traffic signal, one direction, westbound direction on the traffic signal at Conestoga and Lytton Avenue. And what I had requested from the applicant was to provide some information to make the improvements to raise the level of service from a D to something higher. They supplied some information basically saying there was not a whole lot that could be done at the driveway other than put a traffic signal in, which it would not meet the warrants. There's just not enough traffic that comes in and out of that driveway. They did suggest, and they did run some numbers using the software, that they utilize, that changing the timing for Ithan and Conestoga, basically by taking 5 seconds away from Ithan Avenue and giving 5 seconds to Conestoga, it would change the level of service from a C to a B. So I spoke to my electrician, the township's electrician today, who maintains the traffic signals, and he was fine with trying that to see what the improvements were like. So at least at this point in time, they, according to the numbers that have been produced, they would make an improvement at that intersection. Removing 5 seconds from South Ithan Avenue will cause more delays on South Ithan, but it still remains above a C, or a C or better, depending on the time of day. Other than that, the memo is the same as it was back in October.
It says here, forget me, D or C? It's currently a C?
It's a D now,
Right,
in one direction, westbound on Conestoga.
all right.
Where's the real problem?
Well, I don't see that big of a problem. The problem that they picked up in the transportation impact study was westbound in the evening. I see more of a problem on Ithan Avenue when there's an event at Villanova or at Agnes Irwin. I don't see that much. I'm not down there that often in the evening on Conestoga Road. I did take a ride out last week, just at that point in time, to see what things were like. There wasn't much going on, and the traffic was moving fine on Conestoga. I do see more of a problem with those special events taking place at this school or at Villanova.
Dan, at our last meeting, number 8, the sidewalk, we talked about moving the fence behind. We gave specific recommendations. Has the plan changed in any way to reflect anything we discussed?
There's been no update to the plans, so we're still looking at the same plans that were submitted originally.
And then that would say in 13, my recollection is that we addressed how to do that. I don't remember what the solution was, but
Yeah, let me grab my notes. Because there was the fire department was looking to have an additional fire hydrant located somewhere in this area to serve these 2 existing buildings. There is one out here. It doesn't show on this plan. There's one here, and we were looking for a fire connection somewhere out front that would serve this building. But we were looking to add one on campus that would allow the fire company to service these 2 buildings.
and 13 has to do with the fire lane. And I recall that I thought we even had talked about some kind of
Papers.
yeah, some kind of material that would solve that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I'm sorry. That's this back here.
Yes.
Right. So they wanted to be able to get back as close to this building as possible. So we had talked about putting pavers down that could withstand that use.
Any other questions? Let the applicant.
Has the
Address
plan been
anything?
to Shade Tree yet?
It has not.
Not yet.
Mr. Cornelia?
Just addressing Dan's comments. As to 8, we would do what was recommended last time, which was move the sidewalk inside, and since it would not be in the right-of-way, it would be on Agnes Irwin's property. And I think we talked about having a sign saying pedestrian sidewalk. Is that, I recall something of that. And also, we would certainly provide any type of easement that's required for pedestrian access on that sidewalk. The understanding being that the purpose of it is to provide pedestrian access as well as access for the people who use the school. And you may recall the issue was the trees there, and a number of large trees would have to be taken down, I believe was the issue there. So we're okay with what was recommended last time regarding the sidewalk. As to number 9, one item, remember, we're not increasing any students here. We're not increasing traffic of any nature. And one thing we've done, because here, the loop around actually has been extended. So we would be alleviating some of the traffic at the entrance to the school, because that loop would be extended down and you'd be able to stack more cars in the loop area than what currently exists. And as to, remember too, on the traffic impact study, the peak hour is 5 o'clock, and we're talking about westbound on Conestoga, and the peak time for the school is actually between 3 and 3:30. So when we're talking about traffic on Conestoga Road, it's not really a result of the school, it's the result of just peak hour traffic. And 13, we talked about using pavers, which is acceptable to the school.
Okay.
And we would be adding the fire hydrant as proposed.
You are going to add the fire hydrant, okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Any public comment? Seeing none?
Just a couple of questions for
Absolutely.
Dan, if you don't mind. Dan, number 6, why do they not identify the floodplains and the wetlands at this point?
I'm
Or
sorry,
tell us
why
that-
have they not?
Yes, or already told us that they're not.
I have gotten that verbally, but I'm looking for a note
Okay.
on the
so-
plans.
So that's an administrative, you just.
Exactly. And I believe it's in this area, is that right? Okay, is that where the wetlands and floodplain, because I know we relocated the floodplain at one point.
The line shown on the drawing is just not labeled, so he's
Okay,
asking us to
very
label.
Oh, okay.
So that's just an administrative item, number
Correct.
6. And then why have they not shown the stormwater to be compliant with our ordinance?
That's
what?
the final plan item, I think.
Well, under the subdivision code, it talks about it being at the final plan, but under our stormwater ordinance, it requires the stormwater documentation to be supplied at the preliminary plan phase. There were a couple of things on the stormwater report that were not perk tests supplied.
Okay.
It was things of that nature.
So
that
when
just
this comes
didn't-
back for final, they will have to have the final
I
stormwater?
expect to see
Very good.
complete documentation. I mean, what they supplied indicates that the volume is being handled as required. There were a couple of things that, as I said, about groundwater recharge that I needed more information on. So
Very good.
Anything else? Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion that we recommend approval we modify Dan's memo to indicate that the plan should have the appropriate easements and signs to allow for the walkway to be used by the public. We adjust number 9 to indicate that the township will adjust the timing of the lights to improve the deficiency. So Dan's memo with those 2 changes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Next on the agenda is, I guess, the appointment of the nomination committee for selection of the 2010 officers. Matt Marshall, Doug McCone, and Julia Hurl have asked to be put on the nominating committee, and Matt is asked to chair it. I would recommend that that be the committee and the chair. Do we have a motion to,
I move to approve the nominating committee.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Any old business? Any new business? Okay. I do want to say one thing. This will be Don Curley's last meeting with us, as he will be resigning the Planning Commission effective 7:16 p.m. on December 8th. For those who don't know, Don has been elected to serve as a commissioner in this township and will be taking over his duties as commissioner on the first January meeting of commissioners. I congratulate Don on that duty, and I know that he will do everything he can and in his power and in his diligent way, as always. I have to say it's been a pleasure working with Don on the Planning Commission. His diligence, his efforts, his aptitude for and his passion for this township is a wonderful thing, and obviously will continue on in a higher capacity with the Planning Commission, and I do wish him the best of luck in that endeavor. And with that, I thank you, Don, for everything that you've done.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank a couple of people. First, this is the end of my 5th year, so I've seen a lot of new faces. And each time a person leaves, they thank the township and the commissioners for giving them the privilege of serving. And I certainly want to echo that, but I want to add one thing to it, that I really want to thank my fellow commission members a lot too, because this is a very talented group. I mean, we have talented architects, engineers, lawyers, real estate developers, landscape architects, professors, people from a lot of disciplines, talented, accomplished people, giving time and service to the township. If we were a consulting company, we would charge thousands of dollars an hour. A meeting would cost $10,000. Some of the meetings 4 or 5 years ago would have cost around $50,000, I think. So for me, part of the privilege has been to serve alongside such accomplished people. So that's this board and the previous boards that I've served with. So part of my thanks goes out to each of you for serving alongside you. Thank you.
And now I'll ask for a motion to close the meeting. Thank you.